The last game we talk about before we get into our standouts and top 25 and everything, our 8th game was maybe the most insane game of all of them. Or Georgia Alabama was insane, but this one I don't know who won this game still. I still don't know who won this game. Miami ended up winning it officially at 38-34, but what happened in the end of this game? We had a Packers-Seahawks, what was it, Russell Wilson's rookie year in 2012?
The
was that?
Fail Mary.
Yeah, on the Monday Night Football. Yeah, the Fail Mary where he threw a pass and it seemed like the Packers caught it, but they ruled it a touchdown even though it looked like an interception. This one was kind of the same thing where Virginia Tech had a Hail Mary at the very end of this game that looked like Miami caught it and they were like, okay, game over. And then they ruled it a touchdown and then they reviewed it and said, no, incomplete. I think, okay, my take on this, and I want your take on this play too before we get into our stats and all that. But my take on this is the right call, but the way they got to it, if I'm a Virginia Tech fan, I'm pissed because I'm looking at that and saying, how the hell do you overturn that? Listen, I think whoever won this game, the other team should have been pissed because if they ruled it stands and Miami lost, if I'm a Miami fan, I'm like, how the hell do you rule out a touchdown in the first place? But as a Va Tech fan, you should be like, how the hell do you reverse that? So that was one of the weirdest endings to a game I've ever seen. I think the right team won eventually, but if I'm a Virginia Tech fan, I'm still pissed for them overturning that when it didn't seem like there was enough evidence to overturn it, honestly.
Yeah, it's tough, and I don't really know why they ruled it a touchdown in the first place.
No, I was shocked.
I'm with you. I think it was incomplete. Maybe. I mean, there's slow-mo arguments that he had it for a millisecond, but I mean, we're always doing this thing with what's a catch and what's not, and what's possession and finishing the catch process and football moves and all this nonsense. But I think they got it right.
I think they got it right.
Like you mentioned, the process, it was shocking enough that they called it a touchdown in the first place.
Yeah.
And then overturn it, and then I
was like, what the hell is going on
It's really
I still don't know who won. Like, I'm still like, I don't know who won that game.
I mean, I'll
officially Miami won.
I mean, we just have to take it for what it is, right? It was some football game, and I think the one part where Virginia Tech is going to have a problem with this is I thought of their 5 games, this was front to back the best game that they played.
Yeah, they played really well.
They did, but they come out of it 2-3.
I know.
It's rough because they had struggled, especially early in a lot of their previous games. This was the best game they had played, and they come away with a loss. And it's a tough loss for Va Tech, who had really high expectations coming into the year.
We should have known what we were in for on Saturday just based off this Friday night game.
Oh, yeah.
Like this was,
the other game, too, on Friday was Washington-Rutgers.
Yeah, that was crazy, too.
That was a great game, too. Yeah,
that poor Washington kicker, man. Oh, that poor kid. He missed it was tough.
That's tough. Washington, that's another case where the team kind of beat themselves.
Absolutely.
But that happens a lot. Look, Bill Belichick used to say, you can't beat yourself.
Yeah.
That's the first thing you can't. If you don't beat yourself, you will win a lot more football games.
Speaking of Bill Belichick, his son Steve Belichick is the defensive coordinator for Washington.
Sure is.
So
look, Washington, they're not bad.
Yeah.
It's not a bad team.
Steve Belichick was the most lethal face card maybe of all time with the, like all the tongue out stuff. Remember that when at Sunday Night Football? All that.
Oh yeah.
You don't even know what face card is. You know how to.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
I'm too old. I'm too old for whatever you just said.
Let's get into the grades before we get to the stats from this game. Miami's top 5 highest graded players. One guy, Dalton, Francis Mauigoa. I'm calling it right now. This guy is OT1 in the 2026 NFL Draft. He is amazing. 80 grade in this one. He was the highest graded player for Miami in this one. Wesley Besaint at a 76.2. Elijah Arroyo, 76. Damian Martinez at a 73. And Xavier Estrepo at a 68.7. And Cam Ward, 79.9. Up and down game for Cam Ward, but 79.9 ultimately. I love that picture of Cam Ward, by the way. That's a celebration. And Virginia Tech was hitting that celebration
What
a lot.
What is that?
I don't know what that is. But they're doing it against him when Virginia Tech was winning. And then at the end of the game, he actually tweeted out the celebration again. So he got the last laugh. But Virginia Tech, still great performance. Their highest grade players. Aeneas Peebles, our guy, at 82.7. Really good game for him. Xavier Chaplin, 78.9. Bayshul Tootin, 74.1. Caleb Spencer, 73.3. Aiden Green, 70.3. And Kyron Jones had a really solid performance as well, an 81 grade in this one. Dawn, for you, what was the stat that told the story in this unbelievable game on Friday night?
Yeah, it's a weird one. You could go a lot of different ways with this, but I found a weird split, and I felt it during the game, and I was like, you know what, this is kind of making a difference here. So the first half, rushing yards, Virginia Tech 147, Miami 41. Dominating on the ground, controlling the clock, controlling possession. Ward was turning the ball over early, and Va Tech was in there. They were in their wheelhouse. This is how they win games, much like we talk about K-State or some other teams that run the ball a lot. This is how Va Tech wants to run the ball. Second half, Miami 139, Va Tech 68. Flipped around and ended up being kind of even. And I think Miami coming out establishing in the third quarter. Look, they had 9 design runs in the first half. They had 8 in the third quarter. They came out in the third quarter. They started running the ball. They started finding balance. Now, eventually, this did turn into a Cam Ward game, and having to come back and having to score a game-winning touchdown and crazy plays and everything was going on. But I think Miami finding balance just for a bit to get back into it when they were beaten down at halftime. It was rough at the first half of this game. I think establishing that balance, and they're going to need to find more of it. You mentioned Malagoa up front. You've got Martinez and some other guys that can run the ball. Mark Fletcher's really good. Continuing to have balance instead of asking Cam Ward to do everything for you is going to be advantageous to him, right? And Cam Ward, he's played great. He would be in the top 2 or 3 of the Heisman right now. A lot of people have him number 1. Had some great moments, fun moments in this game. But Miami's they're gonna benefit from having balance. And in the second half, when they had more balance, that includes Ward running the ball. He had 6 carries for 72 yards and a touchdown. That includes him. They have balance. They're one of the most dangerous offenses in the country. They're dangerous anyway with Ward and their weapons. But when they found the run game and they found that balance, then they started taking over the game in the second half.
Absolutely. So I want to just quickly apologize to our producers back there, because not only are we going a long show today, but also I didn't check the stat, and this has changed a little bit, so I'm going to update this right now. But Cam Ward, 5 big-time throws, 3 turnover-worthy plays. Originally it was 7, but now it's down to 5 right now. But this is truly the ultimate Cam Ward experience. Just an absolute roller coaster for him, honestly. 5 big-time throws. That's tied for the most he's had in any game in his career, including his time at Incarnate Word, too. So we're talking about FCS Cam Ward still. This is the most big-time throws he's had in a game. 3 turnover-worthy plays, though. Most he's had in a game since Week 7 of last season. This guy is a riverboat gambler who is going to make some draw-dropping plays and some head-scratching ones. And I hate to use this comp because people are going to think it's an insult. I don't think it is. But it's like a little bit of Will Levis, but except it works sometimes. Where you see some throw, like the flip and all, like that's a Will Levis play.
Yeah, but he's more accurate.
No, he's more accurate,
the
but
accuracy,
he gets it.
Yeah, but this is a thing though with Ward is he came into this season in his career 71 big time throws and 79 turnover worthy plays. He's always been a gunslinger.
I'm by no means saying he's going to be like Will Levis in the NFL. I'm just saying like there's some of that play to him where you're just like, dude, like this guy is just gambling out here, and it works a lot of times. Don't get me wrong, it does work. But there's just a lot of like, wow, like I don't know how that worked, but it worked. The flip and all, like there's a lot of really funny ones out there. He is gambling out there, and to his credit, it has worked a lot this year, which is why he's still one of the top Heisman candidates. Also, quickly, I want to shout out how good he was on the ground in this game. 6 carries for 72 yards and a touchdown with 5 broken tackles. He had an 83% forced miss tackle rate. By no means is Cam Ward an elite athlete. In fact, if you look at the PFF gas score, he's like an 8th percentile in our gas score or whatever. But he has great vision, and he is a tough player to bring down at 223 pounds. He rarely slides out there, honestly. So Cam Ward, I love the way he runs too. Dalton is so like nonchalant. There's a lot of times where like he just walks out of bounds. Like he is a confident football player right now, which is why the Riverboat Gamblers were working for him. But Cam Ward, shout out to him. Again, this is the ultimate Cam Ward experience where he has some throws. You're like, yep, that's the number 1 overall pick. That's the top 5 pick in the draft. Then some plays you're like, okay, there's a lot to work on with him. But this is the ultimate Cam Ward experience in this game. It's Virginia Tech, honestly.
Yeah, and he has to be the most impressive guy for me. And I know a lot of players played well in this game, especially offensively. But Ward is one of those guys. We talk about Shedeur Sanders. We talk about, I think, Jalen Milroe. There's a handful of quarterbacks that they can put you on their back and they can will you to a win, and that's what Cam Ward did in this game. And Cam Ward's on that short list of guys, probably, 8 or 9 of them probably. I think, Miller Moss is up there. That's another one I'm just throwing out there. Big comeback win for Miller Moss, and that he can will you to a win. But no, Cam Ward is one of those guys where you go, when all else fails, let's just see what he can do.
Yep.
And to have that ability and to need that ability in a game like this, that Virginia Tech, again, they played their best game of the season, I thought. And the Miami had some injuries happening on their defensive line. Obviously didn't have Reuben Bain last night. Then Elijah Alston gets hurt. Then Tyler Barron's getting hurt. Then Simeon Barrow's getting hurt. I mean, everybody. The defensive line was crumbling a bit. They got run all over in the first half. They were behind. Things were hard. Ward was getting hit. And he just found a way to will them to a win. And I think that's so big for them when you talk about getting into even bigger games than this one. To have that guy knowing, hey, we're down 4, we're down 3, there's 2 minutes left, there's whatever drive that we need that you can just hand him the ball and he can do it. It's big-time stuff. So, again, not his highest-graded game of the year. Probably it's certainly, 79.9 is still solid considering all the early difficulties. But this was a game about Ward's heart and willpower to win this game.
It almost looked like it was going to be a disaster game for him at some point. Like, he was like throwing picks left and right. Like, oh boy, this could be where the wheels come off and where he could lose, a lot of his traction as a Heisman candidate. And he came back and won this game. So that's a really good performance by Cam Ward. My most impressive, I want to shout him out. Shout out to Kyron Jones, by the way. We haven't talked much about him. He had a good game against Miami. But I think the reason why he's able to be so good out there, Bashul, too, in the running back, was awesome. 19 carries for 141 yards and a touchdown. 110 yards after contact, 10 forced missed tackles on the game as well for a 53% forced missed tackle rate. This guy's not big. He's 5'11", 209 pounds, but pound for pound, you might not find a stronger running back in college football than Bashul Tune. He is clearly the star player of this offense, bouncing off of tacklers left and right. I love watching this guy run, man, because you look at him, again, he's not physically imposing at all.
He's a pinball,
but you cannot tackle this guy with one player, man. He's a lot of fun to watch, and I think the reason why he helped out Kyron Jones, not only because he has a great run game, but also, Miami had to stack the box to stop this guy. And when you do that, Kyron Jones had some windows to throw in. And that's why I think Virginia Tech was able to get something going offensively. And this one almost pull off the Hail Mary victory. But Bashul Tune, shout him out. He is, again, it's an unreal year for running backs in the college football. So there's a lot of guys that go under the radar because of how many great ones there are. And Bashul Tune is absolutely one of those guys. He's a guy that's a really good running back in college football.